Hey, hey.
Hey, sweet. Round two for our weekly Wednesdays. Um, got zero eyeballs so far, but hopefully some trickle in. Um, yeah, last week was cool. That was the first time. I
Yeah.
wonder. I
Last
wonder
week
if
we promoted
anyone.
it.
Yeah, we did promote it. That was good.
Yeah, I think we forgot to promote this one. This is just the two of us. This will be the most authentic of all the ones. It's just the two of us here.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see if any of our subscribers are. I know we have it. Do we have it in the Discord? Maybe we could post it in there.
No,
Um, let's post. But
are you posting the YouTube in the Discord? I can do that right now.
oh, okay. Oh, we got one eyeball
Uh,
from JellyPod on our YouTube. Maybe that's
That's
us.
me.
Oh, there we
That's
go. Just
me.
like last week.
I
No.
love it. I love it. I love it. All right, general.
There was interesting. So I mean, I know we didn't really discuss and get uh like specific news to talk about. So I mean, if there's anyone in the audience, uh, if people join that have suggestions on what we wanted to talk about and create podcasts on, but there was an interesting demo that came out last week. So I think the last few days, the biggest things that caught my attention were one today Google Gemini 2.0, their Flash Thinking, all those new models became generally available through AI Studio today. So that was pretty big. I mean, it's a response definitely to DeepSeek. There's also other information around DeepSeek. I know we talked about R1 last week, that there was a lot of just peddling of the $5.5 million number that was kind of now debunked um, as the false as a misrepresentation of the amount of money it took to make that model. I think it was in the range of $1.6 billion of total capex for the GPUs, and just the last training run costed 5.5 million. So that was interesting as well.
Oh wow!
Um,
How'd they debunk that? What was the like? How did they figure that out?
I mean, we could dive into it a little bit more now, and like actually create a podcast on it because it could be a cool response. But I don't think there's been a lot of media coverage on it. Um, I think there were some basic back of the napkin calculations done, and everyone kind of was, I don't know, like thinking about, okay, well, you can approximate like the number of tokens required based on like or the parameters of the model. You could do some like kind of general sort of understanding of how big the model, based on how big the model is, and you could approximate kind of the cost based on GPUs, the specs of the GPUs, the model, even with optimization, so you can kind of get a range. But a lot of the industry was saying how like that would not necessarily mean that that's how much the whole training of the model required. Like I think that's what it came out to be. It's like that was the last training run, costed them like $5.5 million, but
Mm.
it wasn't like the whole total process. Like there was V3. I don't know what V3 costed. Um, and then, so I don't know. There was a lot of discussion in the
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
Do you remember that one VC we were on, or that one like the live stream where people were going back and forth about how much you could trust the figures, and someone had like done some back of the napkin math um, and was like, yeah, it totally makes sense that it would be within 5 to 10 million. But I guess that's specifically referring to that last training run.
Right.
Remember that? Do you remember that person who was speaking? That they made some conclusion, I think, based on the. I think they concluded the GPUs weren't used in it somehow, but clearly that's not the case. Do you remember this, or am I just
I'm not sure.
misremembering?
I'm not sure what conversation this was from.
Okay. It was like there was a live stream last week that I thought me and you were both on, but maybe it's just me.
Oh, yeah, the latent space one.
Yeah. That's the one.
Oh,
Where, and there were like a couple people that were like coming back and forth about like that they came to that they came to that number, but like that they didn't take it at face value. They had like derived that number from something about how the art, like from what was published about the architecture.
right,
But I
right,
guess
right, right.
that's just yeah.
I think everybody was kind of like, I'm pretty sure this number, it just means the final training run costed about 5.5 million. And the interesting thing about this is like this comes directly after the Stargate announcement of the $500 billion investment from SoftBank, Oracle, OpenAI. So comparing the $500 billion to 5.5 million, it's like vastly, like they're just such different numbers. And I think to the American public and to most people, when you see a $500 billion number next to a $5.5 million, like why can China do something that's like multiple orders of magnitude cheaper?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's, I don't know, but to really heavily push and peddle this $5.5 million number in response to a $500 billion Stargate announcement seems like there was some ulterior motives. I would say, um,
Mm,
in terms of just like, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Well,
Definitely
it was
affect the stock
almost
market.
yeah. But has it recovered? Has it like I think there was a bounce back maybe a few days after that. But
Yeah,
yeah, almost an order of magnitude of order of magnitudes, almost five zeros.
yeah. So it's
Um,
like 5 orders of magnitude.
yeah.
It's
Wild.
huge, but yeah, I mean, like we're talking to like looking at the Nvidia stock price, and there's just like there's still a lot of opportunities here, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about Jevons paradox and this whole
Mm,
concept of when the unit cost of um, something like, let's say, energy, or some primitive unit of some primitive like energy or tokens or GPUs or something,
compute, yeah, or
compute,
compute. Like I feel like everyone like understands that with chips,
right,
how much more efficient chips got over the with Moore's law over the last 40, 50, 60 years,
totally,
and yet they're in everything, right? People do, I mean,
right.
I guarantee no one was dreaming of like a fridge with a chip in it
I was just
50
thinking the
years
same
ago.
thing. Like, yeah, because like literally everything today has some sort of CPU, some microprocessor in it, and because they're so inexpensive, and so like to explain the Jevons paradox, I mean, it's this concept Satya talked about this last week on the Microsoft call, but um, it's like the concept where if the unit cost of something decreases, the aggregate demand for those things increases. So, like if you drop down the price of a computer from, let's say, $1 million to $1, rather than having a few computers, you're going to have thousands and millions of computers and billions of computers.
Yeah. I think the point is that in that example, it would be that it's over a million. That they're
Right,
like it's a disproportionately large response to the drop. So yeah, something cuts in half, but the demand more than doubles.
right.
Uh, which is which makes sense why it'd be like it's a funny thing about people. Yeah, no, I can't. I was just thinking about like you know a world where like no one imagined a world where we all had a computer in our pocket.
Right.
But then there'll come a world where we all have, like a GPU in our pocket or something, like why does my fridge need a GPU, for example? And I have no idea, not at this time. But
It's gonna look at all your groceries that are in your fridge using computer vision and tell you, hey, this is what you can make with all the stuff that's in your fridge. And you have an app
yeah,
on your phone. And it's like you got chicken, it's gonna expire. I know you put the chicken in. You bought the chicken on this date. It's gonna send the notification to your phone. Oh, you can make chicken Alfredo or something. You have
yeah.
pasta.
Or it's gonna it's gonna ask operator to then go and buy the stuff on Instacart. See,
I
but I
saw some.
love going to Trader Joe. Yeah,
No. I
what were you
was
saying?
just sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love going to Trader Joe's too much. That's why I'm not team Instacart because I just love being inside of a Trader Joe's personally. It's like my one. I just love going there. I bring
Totally.
my son there. We walk around. He causes like just havoc. Um,
I could imagine a future where it's like if humanoid robots become more mainstream and it's something where it's like the third largest purchase that a household will make. Like first being a house, second being a car, maybe, and then third being a humanoid robot. Be crazy future that we're heading into. But imagine getting your Optimus or your whatever figure robot into your self-driving car in the middle of the night to the grocery store to do your grocery shopping. So you don't have to have like you can have like robot only hours. So your Trader Joe's,
Mm.
there's no humans allowed at this point. It's just like robots that come in. There's probably one night manager on shift, and the robots come in, pick out your goods from the store, do self checkout, and just like walk out into the self driving car that drives the robot home to you, puts the stuff away. And so every night, you go to your fridge and you're like, oh, I'm stocked up. Thanks for doing my grocery shopping for me.
Yeah. But if these robots are smart, right, then over time they're going to get faster and faster at figuring out what you need at the store. So what are they going to do with their excess hours? And will it be leisure time? Will there start to be, are the robots going to have like little robot parties in their allotted time that they have found in Trader Joe's so that they develop the love for Trader Joe's that I've always had?
It's pretty interesting. Like this goes to this whole concept of utility and like um, utilization of capital. And so, like today, this is an argument that is strongly in favor of not owning cars, and rather just like on demand calling a taxi if the cost was if the cost of calling a taxi, um, the limit of that was zero. Like the cost went down to the cost of like the electricity or the gas or whatever it is of the car. Like it would make financial sense for most people to just call an Uber anytime they wanted to drive anywhere. If there's no human labor in that car, and the only operating expense is essentially the electricity or the fuel required to get you somewhere, it doesn't make sense to purchase a car if you can then distribute the expense over a larger number of people. Because if I have a car and half the day my car, or more than half the day, is just sitting in a parking spot or in my garage, that's just like money that's it's not being put to work. But if I can, anytime I want to go anywhere, just call a cab and go somewhere, it's going to be over the long term much more efficient utilization of cars as a limited resource over time. But the same thing I think could go with robots. I mean, like if I'm willing to invest at front, let's say it's $10,000 to get a humanoid robot, maybe I could do my neighbor's grocery shopping as well, or wash my car if I still have my car, or I don't know, like this. It could be really like used as a capital expense for a household that could actually be generating like creating value. I don't know. Be interesting.
Yeah, totally. Or you could have like, like a co-owning model where like, like me and my neighbors all decide to have like, you know, we'll go in on one. The one thing that keeps coming to mind with what you're saying about a car is like that's kind of been the case for a little while, but if you really do the numbers, like I remember like but back when we were in SF, we only Ubered because of that exact the costs were cheap enough where a car didn't make sense. But here in Seattle, it's a little bit different. And the main factor is like the amount of time it takes to wait for the Uber to get there.
For
Because like
sure.
in case of emergencies or things like that, having it be immediately available is worth the premium, at least right now. So yeah, I do wonder if we'll get to a stage where self-driving cars or or robots get to that point. But I feel like we should make a AI podcast and show people some of the new stuff that we've got.
Yes, do it.
Sweet. I guess I'm gonna make a quick note for everybody. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'll share a particular tab. So the first thing that I wanted to share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, totally. There's some black bars on the top if you just want to scale it up a little bit, or
That's
um, like
weird.
like the actual window. If you change the aspect ratio to be a little bit taller compared to the width.
Oh, I see. Maybe I can. Is that better? I narrowed my screen.
think it's better if you just shrink the Google Chrome. But there we go. There we go. Perfect.
Sweet. Okay, there we go. Um, but yeah, so just very quickly wanted to show everybody that we now have a Discover podcast page on the home site. So up here, can you see me highlighting the thing?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can't see it. I'm like on the tab. It doesn't show me. But yeah, so if you click on this, folks, then you get taken to this page. And what's awesome is you get a handful of cool podcasts that people have made. We sort of wanted to pick a very diverse sampling of podcasts people made. And then you have all these different categories. So if you want to explore or get inspired or what have you, you know, just give it a go. For the people listening, the biggest stuff that people are making are people have made every single category, but business, technology, religion, and spirituality, I think, are the three. Oh, and then education. Those four are probably the biggest clusters of podcasts made. But I just wanted to show everybody this cool page. If you're curious, you want to dive into, explore different podcasts, you can click into the episodes, you can listen to them here, or you can click on the actual podcast itself and listen to those there. Also, what's awesome is, if you're on the free plan or if you're on the paid plan, both of those plans will be able to publish their content onto this page. So exciting stuff. But now I'm
And
going
you
to go
can
ahead and
keep it
switch.
unlisted as well, just like before. So you could
Yeah, good
just
job.
talk for all plans, free or paid. You can prevent your podcast from showing up there if you don't want it there. So
Sweet. Okay, now I'm going to share our. Let's see. I'll find. So I've been enjoying. I've made these two Australian co-hosts, Bruce and Sheila, and they seem to have a good dynamic. I think they're like friends that go back a little while, and they're kind of roasting each other from time to time. So I've enjoyed using this host set and this podcast called Fun Facts. So I thought I'd do the same thing and potentially make one on. Is it Javon or Jevons? I don't know how
I
whichever
think
one.
Jevons paradox. I think
Jevons, William Stanley Jevons, the economist. So I'm gonna
yeah,
go ahead.
we are using. So I know I see Brandon here posted a comment, but he asked, "Are you using AI to categorize the podcast?" So yeah, so we have the primary and secondary categories there. Actually, this one's just a primary category, comedy. When you create a podcast based on the title and the description, we'll just categorize it for you. This is editable if you click edit podcast. But we'll choose, we don't have to click it, but like you can edit this if you want.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I have been making more business related content, but I'll leave it in comedy because they are pretty funny. But I think that is a good shout because sometimes, but because of when this category gets created, people might not know that they can edit that. So I think that's a good shout.
Right. We kind of like the thesis here around this is like we want to minimize the number of user steps, like user choice to get that podcast out. And we'll just pick a category for you right away, but might be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's just a good overarching theme that we're doing is like AI, but a human can intervene at any time. In a self-driving car where you have the steering wheel in your hands at any moment. All right, so I went ahead and I copied the Wikipedia link from the Paradox. I hope that parameter is fine. I'll go ahead and click Create Podcast. We've added some new file types on that page. So that's probably the biggest update there. XML, some others. What else do we want to talk about?
I mean, what else is coming? What have we done? We've done some just like minor quality of life improvements along the edges. Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy this past week. I think we've been hard at work on some cool new features, but things will be announced soon.
I think here is a great place. Like sometimes what I like to do, I find that I really enjoy making like these like little bite-sized podcasts, especially when it comes to news. Like if a company made a new feature announcement or something like that, I find that sometimes, listen to that for 10 minutes is more than is necessary. So I just want to show folks what you can do. So every chapter is going to be equal to about 2 to 4 minutes long. So sometimes you don't want to have this full length podcast, these three. So a very easy way to go about this is you just go ahead and you just copy this. And maybe we did this last time, so I'm like doing the same thing over again. But it's just as simple as that, to take the automated podcast and now turning
Right.
it into a shorter one.
Right.
So I just want to know that it's like it's just that easy. And then people also say, well, you know what, I actually want like some sort of unique perspective, or I want to be more prescriptive. Like don't worry, feel free to like you can add notes here. Like sometimes I'll say like start with a metric or start with a joke or something like that. So I just want folks to know that.
Should we do something like that? Oh, never mind.
Oh,
Publish.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
good. We're good.
Oh, yeah. And actually, also, what's good is people should know that they can always regenerate transcripts. Sometimes people, think that it's one shot. We do try to guide you through the process with these orange buttons. Right now, they're sort of in this opaque state, which means that it's processing. As you can see here, the gears are turning. But when they light up bright orange, it's clear what to do next. But I do want to show people just how quickly you can do this.
And we got some feedback that the scroll on this right-hand side wasn't working as great. Now it's working. So previously you had to hover over the transcript editor scroll, but now you can scroll normally, like you should have been able to the whole time. You can do it now.
With like a short back and forth joke. Let's see what it does with something like that. So yeah, right here is what I was referring to. The regenerate transcript. It's it's sort of this white color here, but you can just hit that, and it'll regenerate.
And while this is regenerating here, Brandon asked that chat to touch on like distribution channels a little bit. So when you click publish episode after you've generated the audio and everything sounds good, publishing is this permanent action that adds this episode to your podcast series. So you can think about it, you have a podcast series. In that series, you have episodes. And when you click publish episode, this episode will go onto your podcast series. It'll go onto your RSS feed, into Spotify, into YouTube, into Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you've already set up. So you just have to set up the podcast once through Spotify or YouTube or wherever you want it to go. And every time you click publish episode, that will get distributed to all those channels that you've already set up. So you don't have to do that more than once. You set up once, and all you have to do is click publish, and you'll be golden.
Yeah. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, LinkedIn, Podcast Index, iHeartRadio. The list goes on and on. So I've gone ahead while you're doing that. I also hit regenerate or generate audio. So this is ready to go. So you can see
what's the joke that it started with. So we said, what do a 19 cent? Let's hear it. Let's generate this audio, or let's listen to the audio. Will it come through?
I hope so. Let me change the setting. Let's see.
All right, Bruce, quick question to get us started. What do a 19th century coal mine and my attempts at daily step goals have in common?
Let me guess. They're both full of untapped potential that somehow gets wasted.
Ouch. Close. But no cigar. Or should I say no coal. We're talking about the Jevons paradox today, which might just blow your mind like, well, a steam engine in 1865.
William Stanley Jevons' big observation.
I don't know if that was a funny joke, but
it was a joke. They definitely tried to make it more back and forth. I see like the length of the message has changed. I think my steps at daily steps goals have in common. No coal. Huh. I guess she just didn't do it. There's no steps. There's no coal mines. I don't know.
Might blow your mind like a steam engine in 1865. I guess that was the punchline there. comedy is not AI's strong suit, but sometimes things
Sometimes it'll blow
get
you
in there
away.
that are funny. But yeah,
Well, close but no cigar, Sheila. But maybe next time. Now they got some really funny stuff. I had a good, solid laugh, or like it was like a dad joke, but I was talking about jellyfish and how they, how they haven't bothered anybody for 500 million years, and or they bothered lots of people, but they just existed through so many things, and and the guy said, "No bones, no drama." I don't know why I found that funny.
that's funny. Let's get
Um,
published here. I mean, if that's good with you, we listen to it and we'll.
yep. Usually, I like to add in some intro and some outro music, but right now we can just move on. I'm gonna go ahead and press save publish.
And then right here, so something new that actually happened this week also is that every podcast has their own custom website. So on the top of your distribution channels, free and paid users get their own custom website. You will be able to customize the subdomain. Right now, it's a bunch of just random gibberish, but maybe today or tomorrow that will be changed so you can actually customize what it says. So it could be like funfacts.jellypod.ai. So let's click on this custom website to show everybody. Might have to reshare the new tab.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah,
real quick.
this is a good one. Let me get back over and share.
And I know Brandon, I see that comment. More sources coming soon. Yeah, I'd like curious. Like, what sources are you looking to support? There's some things in my head, like maybe GitHub repos or songs. But like any text-based sources are supported today. Pretty much every file type that I could imagine should be supported. So if there's any comments that you have on sources that we don't support that you want, would love the feedback there. But yeah, here's that home website. You see the podcast and more than 3. Yeah, so free tier is limited to 3. Paid tiers get increased source limits. We'll look to change these based on feedback. So free tiers right now, yes, they're limited to 3 sources, and then paid tiers get up to, I think, 10.
I want to show folks quickly when you click into an episode, you get the cover art, you get to see when it was published, all the information we just talked about, and then you get the full transcript below, chapters associated, and anybody who sees this page, any of these steps, has the ability to subscribe using the podcast app of their choosing, or of course if they encounter your podcast on any of the distribution places like YouTube, Spotify, etc., they can also subscribe there. I just wanted to highlight some of the things. Anything else you want to highlight from these pages, Pearson? I know we're at 10:30.
No, I think this is good. I mean, yeah. So just to kind of recap on everything we talked about today. There was, every podcast gets its own custom website now, with improvements coming there very soon. We have this new Discover page as well that showcases some of the best podcasts created on the platform, as long as they're public. Users can make sure that they're unlisted as well, so they don't show up there. We have all the categories. There's been a lot of quality of life improvements as well, based on feedback from you all, like the scroll issue. Thanks, Chris. See you there. Yeah, so I think this kind of covers it all. I know we went on a tangent at the beginning, but and thanks for that comment down there. We're here all the time, so if you ever have any questions, concerns, we want to make sure this platform works for you. If there's issues with regards to, maybe something happened really weird with the audio and it wasn't generating correctly, ping us in support. We want to make sure your experience is great. More than happy to help you out any way that we can, to make everybody a podcaster. So.
Yeah, and thank you so much for everybody who's currently on and people who will view this afterwards on YouTube. Thanks for engaging with us. Thank you for supporting us, keeping us going, and for all the content people are making. I'm like always discovering these new podcasts. Like I have a son. Someone made an interesting nature versus nurture podcast recently that I listened to. And that's something that I always think about: nature versus nurture. After watching Three Identical Strangers, the movie, big recommendation. But again, thank you so much for everybody who's supporting us, inspiring us, everything in
Yeah,
between.
absolutely. And a lot of new updates, exciting things coming soon. So excited to share it with y'all. But I know we're at 10:30, so give everybody their time back, and we'll talk next Wednesday. We'll be on here.